Hello my friends! Alright, so today I wish you to have a fantastic workshop. Try to do the maximum of it because this is excellent practice for you. And if you enjoy this workshop, well, join us at cloudwolf.com where we do many more workshops on different applications in cloud computing, especially AWS. Alright, so I'll see you in the workshop, and until then, enjoy the cloud. Hello and welcome to Live Lab number 10 on Claude 3 by Anthropic. We're going to do something fantastic today. Not only we're going to test Claude 3 by Anthropic, but also we'll try to build a state-of-the-art application in AI with it, because you will see that it's actually trained with a lot of parameters and on a lot of data and on a lot of recent data. And therefore we can code with it, generate some code, do some code generation to build and train the latest state-of-the-art AI models. And we will do that today with one of them, okay? So welcome everyone. Let's start Live Lab number 10. So we're all going to go to the console home, and then we're going to go to Amazon Bedrock. So if you don't have it in the recently visited services, you can enter it here, Bedrock. That's basically the generative AI service by AWS, which contains a lot of foundation models, not only Claude by Anthropic, but also Llama 2 by Meta. So you will see. I'm going to show you. That's the main Amazon Bedrock page. And here are all the foundation models. So you have Jurassic 2 by AI21 Labs, Claude by Anthropic, Command by Cohere, Stable Diffusion by Stability AI, Amazon Titan by Amazon, Llama 2 by Meta, and that's it. Yeah, these are all the foundation models that you can use. And today we're going to test the brand new LLM, by Anthropic, which is Claude 3. But more specifically, it is Claude 3 Sonnet. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back up and let's click Get Started. Okay, so on the left-hand panel here, the first thing we're going to do is scroll down and click Model Access, because I want to make sure that you all have access to the new Claude 3 Sonnet LLM by Anthropic. Okay, so me, I already asked for access, so I already have access, but I'll show you how to ask access to it. Basically, on the top right here, you click Manage Model Access. And there you go. Then you're just going to select all the foundation models you want to have access to. Okay. And so for Claude 3, you're just going to select it here. Mine is already selected because I requested access before. But there you go. You just select this one. And if you want the other ones, you can select the other ones. A trick to do that is just to click this. All right. And then you click Save Changes. And it will just take 1 or 2 minutes for you to get access to the model, the LLM. Okay. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to make sure no one has a question. Feel free to ask me a question anytime you want. No questions in the chat so far. All good? Okay, good. I can see the enthusiasm for this lab. That's fantastic. We're going to work with Hugging Face today, by the way. It's really important that you know your way around Hugging Face. It's an amazing AI platform that allows you to build tons of machine learning models, AI models with tons of data sets. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm also very excited in this live lab to introduce you to Hugging Face if you don't know what it is yet. All right, so let's do this. Okay, so while you are making a request to get access to Claude 3 Sonnet by Anthropic, because it will take a few minutes, while you get access, we're going to go into the examples in getting started. And we're just going to check out together the different examples of prompts with Claude 3. All right, so this is Titan Text G1, this is Claude, so the previous Claude version. And this is Claude 3 Sonnet. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. Let's have a look at what it can do, because the examples are great. They actually show different formats of prompts that you can give, and we will see the responses. Okay, so this first example of application of Claude 3 Sonnet is about advanced Q&A with citations. Okay, an example prompt for long document Q&A supplemented by evidence and citations. Okay, good. So here is the prompt. I'm going to give you a document. Okay, we're going to give Claude 3 Sonnet a document. Then I'm going to ask you a question about it. I'd like you to write first down exact quotes of parts of the document that would help answer the question. And then I'd like you to answer the question using facts from the quoted content. Here's the document. Okay, so you enter the document in those tags, documents. There's probably going to be a closing tag at the end of the document. Let me see. Yes, the document is pretty long, which is the purpose of using Claude 3 here. It's in order to get a summary. But at the end, there should be a closing tag. Yes, closing tag, /document. Okay.
So this is the document. Let's see quickly what it's about. Challenges in evaluating AI systems. Okay, so this is a big document explaining a lot about the challenges in evaluating AI systems. Of course, we're not going to read it all unless you're interested, but there you go. It's a big document, you know, a lot of text explaining the challenges in evaluating AI systems. Okay, and after the document, once you close the document in the prompt with the closing tag /document, well, you continue the prompt, you know, you continue the instruction. So you say, first, find the quotes from the document that are most relevant to answering the question, and then print them in numbered order. Quotes should be relatively short. Okay, interesting. If there are no relevant quotes, write no relevant quotes instead. Then answer the question starting with answer. Do not include or reference quoted content verbatim in the answer. Don't say according to quote number 1 when answering. Instead, make references to quotes relevant to each section of the answer solely by adding their bracketed numbers at the end of the relevant sentences. Thus, the format of your overall response should look like what's shown between the example tags. Oh yes, so when you enter a prompt in Claude 3 and also in other LLMs, you can specify an example of the format you would like to get. So that's exactly what is being done here in those example tags. So this is the opening example tag and this is the closing example tag. You put the format, relevant quote, quote 1, da-da-da, quote 2, da-da-da, and then answer, company X earned $12 million according to quote 1. Almost 90% of it was from widget sales according to quote 2. Okay? So that's the answer. You can specify, you know, how you want it to be. And then here we go. Here is the question. Here is the first question. In bullet points and simple terms, what are the key challenges in evaluating AI systems? If the question cannot be answered by the document, say so. Answer the question immediately without preamble. And that's the end of the instructions. That's the end of the prompt. So you see, there was a lot of instructions in this prompt, and you can even specify a specific format that you would like to get in the response in the prompt. So it's pretty complex prompt, you know, that you can enter for Claude 3 Sonnet. And so let's have a look at the response. All right. So indeed, Claude 3 Sonnet applies well the instructions. Relevant quotes. Quote 1, most conversations around the societal impact of artificial intelligence come down to discussing some quality of an AI system, such as its truthfulness, fairness, potential for misuse, and so on. Okay. Then quote 2, all right, talking about MMLU. Quote 3, then quote 4, okay, quote 5, quote 6, quote 7, quote 8, quote 9, and then the answer. All right, so here, that's where it recaps the different challenges in evaluating AI systems and while referring to each quote. So the first challenge is to develop robust and reliable evaluations is extremely difficult. And that's in reference to quote 1, which is this one here, most conversations around the societal impact, blah, blah, okay? And then same, second challenge, seemingly simple evaluations like multiple choice tests have many challenges, according to quote 2 and 3. Then third challenge, installing and scaling up third-party evaluations requires significant engineering effort, and they may contain bugs, in reference to quote 4. All right, so yes, that was a perfect response. It exactly followed the instructions that were entered in the prompt. So yeah, this is not only, you know, some advanced prompt that you can enter, but also you can get some really advanced answers. All right, so that was the first example of Claude 3 Sonnet. Let me just check if there is any question. Yes, Diren, is this a charged service Bedrock? Yes, it is a charged service. You're right, it's a good question. Let's actually check the pricing of Claude 3 Sonnet in Bedrock. So far we're only doing the examples, and therefore nothing is charged so far. But you're right, if you want to follow with me the next part of this lab, well, let's just have a quick look at the pricing. It's a good question. Anthropic, Claude 3 Sonnet. Okay, so here is the price per 1,000 input tokens. It is not even 3 cents, it's 0.3 cents. 0.3 cents that you will be charged for 1,000 input tokens. So if you, in your prompt, you enter 1,000 input tokens, you will be charged 0.3 cents. And then for the output tokens, and the price for 1,000 output tokens in the response of Claude 3 Sonnet is a bit more expensive. It's actually 15 cents. Okay, so yeah, up to you. For our prompt that we'll enter today will have less than 1,000 input tokens, and the output tokens as well will be less than 1,000. Okay, so you will be charged very, very, very little if you decide to follow along with me. All right, but great question, Diren. Very good question. Thank you for reminding me about the pricing. It's in CloudWolf, we always want to be responsible. Okay, so then I see some other questions. Diren, for you, Anthropic and Claude 3 is still disabled? Okay, I think it will just take a few minutes before you have it enabled. Don't worry, you will get it soon. Anyway, now we're just doing the example, so at some point we will all be able to get it. Vlad, there is a button, then you have to click and explain how you're going to use the model. Okay. Priyanka, you can enable them by request model access. How do I answer this? When I requested model access, describe your use case. Do not share personal information or IP information. But yeah, what Vlad chose is great for personal educational purposes. Yeah, it worked. So Calvin, did you get it too? Did you enter this and get it as well? Anthropic does not show you for you, Diren. It is disabled. It is disabled, and so is Claude 3. Yes, do I submit the use case? Yeah, probably. This is very strange. There might be an issue with your account, Diren. Sorry about that. It would be worth submitting the use case, yes. Okay, still waiting, Chakwadi. No problem at all, because we're going to continue with the examples. There are a few more examples that I want to show you, and then we will all make sure that we all have Claude 3. All right, so now let's move on to the second. So that was a pretty cool example, right? Pretty advanced prompt and great response. And the document was long, and it seemed that it summed it up really, really well. Okay, so now let's have a look at the next example. So this one is a chain of thought in Llama 2, chain of thought in Llama 2, character role-playing Claude. We actually saw this in the previous lab. Code generation with Claude, content generation with Claude, contract entity extraction with command. And there we go with the second Claude 3 Sonnet example, which is about crafting a design brief. Okay, let's have a look. All right, craft a design brief with Claude 3 Sonnet. Craft a design brief for a holistic brand identity, including brand name, color palette, typography, visual style, and tone. Okay, so let's imagine that we own a brand. We own a brand in fashion or in art or whatever. And we actually need to create a design brief that we're going to show to, I don't know, customers or investors. And yes, we would like some help from Claude 3 Sonnet to craft an amazing design brief. All right, so here is the prompt. Your task is to create a comprehensive design brief for a holistic brand identity based on the given specifications. Okay, the brand identity should encompass various elements such as suggestions for the brand name, logo, color palette, typography, visual style, tone of voice, and overall brand personality. Ensure that all elements work together harmoniously to create a cohesive and memorable brand experience that effectively communicates the brand's values, mission, and unique selling proposition to its target audience. Be detailed and comprehensive and provide enough specific detail for someone to craft a truly unique brand identity. All right, and then here we go with the brand specs. We specify the brand specs. This is a brand that focuses on creating high-quality, stylish clothing and accessories using eco-friendly materials and ethical production methods. The brand targets environmentally conscious consumers aged 25 to 40 who value fashion, sustainability, and social responsibility. The brand identity should achieve the following goals. 1, reflect the brand's commitment to sustainability, ethical practices, environmental stewardship. 2, appeal to the target audience by conveying a sense of style, quality, and trendiness. 3, differentiate the brand from competitors in the sustainable fashion market. And 4, create a strong emotional connection with consumers and inspire them to make more environmentally friendly choices. Okay, so you see, we are very specific in how we want this design brief to be created. We give a lot of instructions, a lot of specific, instructions. And here we go with the response. Brand personality, eco-conscious and environmentally aware, yet stylish and fashion-forward. Confident and passionate about promoting sustainable practices and ethical choices. Inclusive and welcoming, inviting consumers to join a like-minded community committed to making positive changes. Overall, the brand identity for Senses should strike a balance between eco-friendly values and fashion-forward aesthetics, appealing to consumers who want to look stylish while making environmentally responsible choices. The cohesive visual and verbal elements should create a strong emotional connection with the target audience and inspire them to embrace a more sustainable lifestyle. Okay, so this is pretty good. I think the other LLMs can do it too. Maybe, there is a bit of improvement here, but I'm more impressed with the first example. This is something that we can very easily do as well with the other LLMs. But still, that's very good. Okay, let me have a look at the chat. Are you still waiting? Do you have access now? Okay, Vlad, you got the access granted. Perfect. Perfect. So it should come very fast for the others now. Okay, so Vlad got the access granted. That's great. Now let's wait for a... Oh, no, actually, I think we have another example. I think we have a third example. So that's the advanced Q&A citation. Create a design brief. Create an image with a stable diffusion. A table of product descriptions with Titan. Customer service fact chatbot with Claude. Editing test with Claude. Okay, Google ad copy generation, Jurassic 2 mid. Information extraction with Claude. JSON output with Claude. And there you go. Meeting notes summarizer. Let's have a look at this third example. I think it is the last one. No, there is another one here for non-English content generation. And I think then it's over. Okay, so yeah, let's have a look at the two other examples while we wait for the others to have access to Claude 3 Sonnet. This one is about meeting notes summarizer. So let's have a look. Meeting note summarizer. Distill meetings into concise summaries, including discussion topics, key takeaways, and action items. Prompt. So here is the prompt. Okay, it starts here. System. Your task is to review the provided meeting notes and create a concise summary that captures the essential information. The summary should include the main discussion topics, key takeaways, and any action items assigned to specific individuals or departments during the meeting. Use clear and professional language and organize the summary in a logical manner using appropriate formatting such as headings, subheadings, and bullet points. Ensure that the summary is easy to understand and provide a comprehensive overview of the meeting's content with a particular focus on clearly indicating who is responsible for each action item. User, meeting notes, date, Imperial Year 19 BBY, attendees, Darth Vader, Sith Lord, Grand Moff Tarkin, Governor, Admiral Pete, General Veers, Director Krennic. Okay. Agenda. Okay, so this is all the notes from the meeting. Agenda. 1. Discuss the progress of the Death Star construction. 2. Address the growing Rebel Alien threat. 3. Review the status of the Imperial fleet and army. 4. Brainstorm strategies to strengthen the Empire's control over the galaxy. Discussion. Director Krennic provided an update on the Death Star construction. Okay, so here are the notes of the different discussions. Okay. Grand Moff Tarkin raised concerns about the growing Rebel Alien threat. Okay. Admiral Pete presented a report on the status of the Imperial fleet. Okay. General Veers provided an update on the Imperial army. Okay, so you have a lot of notes here. The team brainstormed strategies to strengthen the Empire's control. Okay. And then here is the response, which, should give us a summary of all these meeting discussions, meeting notes. So let's have a look at the response. Subject, summary of the Imperial Year 19 BBY meeting. Discussion topics: 1, Death Star construction progress, with 3 bullet points, summarizing the construction progress, so 60% complete. Darth Vader emphasized the importance of meeting the deadline, and Director Krennic assigned to oversee final stages and report issues. So it seems to be a really good summary. Growing Rebel Alien threat, that was the second point of discussion, with same, a nice summary in bullet points. Third discussion point, status of the Imperial fleet and army, with same, a nice summary in bullet points. Fourth, strategies to strengthen Imperial control, same, a nice strategy. And then the key takeaways: Death Star construction progress is on track with Director Krennic overseeing the final stage. This looks really useful. I love this response. It seems to really well recapping the document, summarizing the document with the different bullet points, summarizing the different discussion points, and then the key takeaways. Growing Rebel Alien threat requires improved intelligence gathering and proactive measures. And then finally, the action items. Director Krennic to oversee final stages of Death Star construction and report any issues to Darth Vader. Admiral Pete, blah, blah. Okay. So yeah, really good response. Again, following some pretty specific and advanced instructions and following them and applying them very well. All right. So that's pretty good. And now let's have a look at the final example by Claude 3 Sonnet, which is about generating some content in several languages. Let's have a look. Non-English content generation. An example prompt to generate product announcement tweets in 10 most commonly spoken languages. So that looks awesome. I hadn't seen this with the other LLMs here in Bedrock. The prompt is, write me a series of product announcement tweets in the 10 most commonly spoken languages. The product is a new state-of-the-art pair of binoculars with built-in AI systems to identify the animals viewed through the binoculars. The tweets should be exciting, cutting edge, and push consumer interest. All right. So simple prompt, but we're asking something pretty advanced. We're asking to generate some tweets in several languages, and plus tweets that must be catchy. All right, so let's have a look at the response. Here are a series of product announcement tweets in the 10 most commonly spoken languages for a new state-of-the-art pair of binoculars with built-in AI systems to identify animals. So I will try to read the tweets in the languages that I know. Here we go with English. Introducing the future of bird wildlife watching. Our new AI binoculars use cutting-edge vision tech to instantly identify any animal you see. Great. Mandarin Chinese. So I only did 1 year of Chinese at the university, therefore I'm completely incapable of reading this. If any of you can read this, feel free. You can turn the mic on. And okay, Hindi, same. I lived 2 years in India, but unfortunately I didn't get advanced enough in Hindi to be able to read this as well. Spanish, I can try. Presentamos el futuro de la observación de aves vida silvestre. Nuestros nuevos binoculares con IA utilizan técnicas avanzadas de visión para identificar instantáneamente cualquier animal que veas. Experimenta la naturaleza como nunca antes. Let me know in the chat if my Spanish was correct. I don't know if we have anyone speaking Spanish here. Yeah, Priyanka, sorry that I was not able to read in Hindi. Huh? But yeah, there you go. So yeah, generating several tweets in several languages: Arabic, Bengali, Russian, Portuguese. Portuguese, I could read it because I lived 2 years in Lisbon. Japanese and Punjabi. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So this is pretty useful. You know, you can remember that if you need to generate some content in several languages, well, Claude 3 Sonnet can do it really easily for you. All right, any questions? Dietrich, you speak Spanish. Okay, good. Spanish sounded fine. Thank you. I'm glad that I didn't lose too much of my Spanish. Okay, so that's it. That's it for the examples of Claude 3 Sonnet. Now we're going to move on to the use case, what we're going to build, you know, the application we're going to build today. And yes, that's it for the examples. All right, so let me know in the chat what you think of it. It seems pretty powerful, right? It's the brand new release of Anthropic, and according to a lot of opinions, it's much more powerful than ChatGPT. All right, so now I have a question for you. Do you all have access to Claude 3 Sonnet? Not yet, still pending. Okay, sorry about that, Chuck Woody. No worries, we're gonna make progress while we are still waiting for the model access. Well, I'm gonna introduce you to Hugging Face. So here we go. Welcome to Hugging Face, the AI community building the future. So it's basically a platform containing tons of models in different branches of data science. So you have the multimodal models, image text to text, visual question answering, document question answering. You have many models in computer vision, all right, depth estimation, image classification, object detection, image segmentation, text to image, image to text. You have many models for NLP, natural language processing, text classification, token classification, table question answering, translation, summarization, text generation. You have a lot of models for audio, text to speech, text to audio, automatic speech recognition, tabular classification, tabular regression, reinforcement learning and robotics, and other graph machine learning. I did that at university. It's really fascinating. So you see, you have all these models. Let's have, for example, a look at some models in reinforcement learning. You have tons of models. You see, actually 38,524 models for many different applications. Lunar Lander V2, you know, training an AI to land properly on the moon. Huggy the dog, soccer, you see? So it's a huge platform of many models. Actually, if I remove the filter here, reset task, in total, you have 540,439 models as we speak. You know, it's going to grow. So that's the models. But then you also have the data sets on which you can train those models. And again, you have the data sets for the same branches of data science, you know, AI. You have the multimodal data sets, visual question answering, data sets in computer vision, depth estimation, same sub-branches. The data sets for NLP, data sets for audio, data sets for tabular, data sets for reinforcement learning, data set. So basically, you see, Hugging Face is becoming the #1 platform, you know, along with Kaggle, of course, and other platforms on which you can train AI models, like GitHub also, for example. But Hugging Face is becoming so big and it's growing so fast that it's really important that you know how to use this. And besides, Hugging Face contains a lot of libraries and classes and functions that you can use to build AIs, and that's exactly what we're going to see during this lab. Okay, then you also have other things which I haven't experienced before. You have some spaces with different playgrounds, you know, space for video object detection, which will contain a lot of models and a lot of data sets, video sound effects. Okay, so you have that. You have some posts also, and you have the docs. So this is very, very good. As I was just telling you, Hugging Face contains a lot of different libraries and classes and functions and tools and methods that you can use to build and train AI models, especially the latest ones, generative AI models with LLMs. So there you go. For example, you have the Transformers library. Where is it? Oh yeah, Transformers library. All right. This is a whole library which you can use to build and train LLMs. And on the left-hand panel here, you have all the different tools that you can use. For example, if we go in trainer, you will see the different classes. Trainer, class transformers trainer. We should also see the SFT trainer, supervised fine-tuning trainer. All right, so you see you have a lot of tools. We'll go through them again as we do this lab, but there you go. It's absolutely fantastic, okay? So let's go back here. And now let me go back to the chat and see the questions. Some models were malicious. You mean some models that we saw? Malicious AI. Ah, okay, interesting. I had not seen this. Malicious AI models on Hugging Face. Yeah, there are so many of them that for sure some of them must be malicious. Diren, do you have to buy service to have datasets enabled? No, Hugging Face is separate. Dietrich, can I use the models from Hugging Face in my own code? Yes, of course. Absolutely. I'm actually going to show you a code now where I use the models of Hugging Face in my own code. This is my own code, and I'm using only the models of Hugging Face. So this is my code, but I just want to test if Claude 3 is able to, generate some code like this, because this code actually builds, an AI chatbot doctor. We start from a pre-trained LLM. I'm going to show you exactly where it is. Here is the pre-trained LLM. I'm going to show it to you in Hugging Face. This is a pre-trained LLM in Hugging Face. We start from it, and then we're going to fine-tune it by augmenting its knowledge by adding to it a data set containing medical terms. All right, so basically this pre-trained Llama 2 LLM has some general knowledge, is able to talk about general things with us, but we're going to augment its knowledge by adding to it a specific knowledge about medical terms so that it can discuss with us about advanced medical terms just like a doctor would do. All right, so that's exactly what we're doing here in this code. We're building an AI chatbot doctor in different steps. First, we install and import the libraries in Hugging Face. Then step 2, we load the pre-trained model. I'm going to show it to you in Hugging Face. Then step 3, we load the tokenizer. Then step 4, we set the training arguments. All right. And then step 5, we create a supervised fine-tuning trainer with some configuration that allows to, reduce the training time, the training parameters, so that we can train the model in not too long time. And then step 6, we train the model with the supervised fine-tuning trainer. And then step 7, we chat with the model. And so we're going to test today. We're going to try to reproduce this with Claude 3 Sonnet. Okay. All right. Just going back to the questions before we start. I hope this answers your question, Dietrich. And Diren, okay, I had to sign up for Hugging Face. Oh, you had to sign up? No, you don't have to sign up. You see, I'm not logged in now because we're just going to go into the data sets and models, and we're just going to take some links, some path to the models. Okay. So actually, speaking of which, let me show you the pre-trained models first. Okay. Because I told you that we're going to start from a pre-trained Llama 2 model. So here, if you enter in the search Abu Naji, like that, ABOONAGI. Let me enter it for you in the chat. Abu Naji. Enter that in the search. You don't have to sign up, but it's good that you signed up. It's really good that you have a Hugging Face account, Diren. Okay, so enter Abu Naji and select the second one, Abu Naji / Llama 2 fine-tune V2. All right, so you won't find much on this page, but what you should know is that it is a pre-trained Llama 2 model, a pre-trained Llama 2 LLM by Meta. Therefore, since it is pre-trained, it is a model with which, you can discuss about many different things, but general things, not too advanced topics, not too much advanced topics, but, general topics, like anything you want, but not too advanced, not too specific. Okay, so that's how it is pre-trained. It was pre-trained, with the usual LLM techniques, like ChatGPT was pre-trained, for example. But at this time, at this particular time right now, Llama 2 fine-tune V2, it is not trained to talk with us about advanced medical terms. And that's because its different layers of knowledge don't contain the advanced medical terms. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add to it an extra layer of knowledge so that it can discuss with us about the advanced medical terms. And how will we add this extra layer of knowledge? Well, thanks to a data set of Hugging Face. So let me actually open it in a new tab. Let's open the data sets here. And we're going to add to it a data set containing a lot of advanced medical terms. And so let me actually show it to you. If you enter in the search here, wiki_medical, yes, this one, Gamino/wiki medical terms. So actually, I can also copy this for you and enter it in the chat. All right, so that's what you enter in the data set. Okay, Gamino wiki medical terms. And here is the data set. It contains 2 columns, simple data set, 2 columns. The first column is the name of the medical term, paracetamol poisoning here. And in the second column, you will have a whole explanation on this medical term. Here it is. That's the whole explanation. It tells you everything about paracetamol poisoning, also known as acetaminophen poisoning, is caused by excessive use of the medication paracetamol. And you see the description is huge. If I, scroll down here, as you can see, the explanation is huge, right? You have a whole explanation. It's like a whole article on paracetamol poisoning. And that's exactly the knowledge we're about to add to our pre-trained LLM, so far trained to only discuss with us about general topics, okay? And then you have the same for many, many other advanced medical terms. Acromegaly, amblyopia, all right? Same, a huge description, a huge explanation on the medical term. And, if I go to page 3, for example, you will have many other medical terms. We are in the I letters here: infection prevention and control, intermittent claudication. And our LLM, our pre-trained LLM, is about to get all this knowledge thanks to this data set containing all these medical terms. All right. So yeah, we're really going to augment the knowledge of our LLM by adding to it an extra layer of knowledge containing all these medical terms. But this is the original data set, wiki medical terms. And when you train an LLM, by fine-tuning it, by augmenting its knowledge with another layer of knowledge, another data set, well, this data set needs to have a specific format. And right now, the format is not here. So let me show you exactly what is this specific format. It's actually not by Gamino, it's again by Abunaji. So again, in the data set, you're going to enter Abunaji, and there you go. You will find the same data set, wiki medical terms, but adapted to the Llama 2 format. So let's click on it. And here is the format. It basically starts with a start of string token. This is the start of string token. Then a start of instruction token, inst. Then a system prompt. So this is actually optional. The system prompt is just to say, you are a helpful, respectful, and honest assistant. Always answer as helpfully as possible while being safe. And it ends here. Please don't share false information. So this is completely optional in the format. You could, have a format without this system prompt, but yes, it is just to remind us that you have to be helpful, respectful, and not say false information. And then here, this is the start of the instruction. This is a start of that goes after this. After the system prompt. If you don't have the system prompt, this is what would come after inst, the opening instruction token. So what is paracetamol poisoning, and explain it in detail. End of the instruction with the instruction token. And then there you go. You have what we call the model answer. This is the model answer, explaining everything about paracetamol poisoning, with that long explanation. Basically, this is what we saw in the previous data set with a long explanation. And this is basically the model answer, what you would like the model to answer about this question related to paracetamol poisoning. All right. So that's the format that must be the compulsory format when you retrain your LLM with some extra knowledge. Okay. And that's exactly the data set we're going to use to fine-tune our pre-trained Llama 2 model so that it gets this extra layer of knowledge, meaning it gets its knowledge augmented with those advanced medical terms so that it can turn into an AI chatbot doctor capable of discussing with us about advanced medical terms. All right, so I showed you Hugging Face. I showed you all you need to know in Hugging Face. Now let's have a look at the result. Okay, access granted, perfect. So Chuck Woody Perry, you now have access to all the Anthropic models. Fantastic. Is it the same for the others here? Do you all have access now to the Claude 3 Sonnet model, mostly? Priyanka, yes, you have access? Perfect. So Chuck, whether you have access. Priyanka, you have access. What about you, Diren? What about you, Dietrich? I think Dietrich, yes, you had access. And Vlad, you have access, right? It worked. Yes, it worked. So you have access. Priyanka, you have access, yes. Diren, no, I'm not able to submit the use case to request. Sorry about that, Diren. So I'm afraid you will have to, if you want to redo all the things we're about to do, you will have to redo it with the recording. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what the problem is here. Okay, and what about the others? Kelvin, Ray, are you getting access? Or maybe you don't want to do the application and just follow along with the video, which is totally fine, of course. The charges are going to be very, very little. Okay, Dietrich, you just watch for now. Okay, you will do it over with the recording. Okay, so I will continue then. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Either some of you can just watch or some of you can do it with me. Okay, and stop me whenever you need. Okay, Ray, you're just watching. Okay, sounds good. So let's do this. All right, so I'm going to go back to Amazon Bedrock and I'm going to go in the text playground because what we're about to do is some code generation in order to fine-tune our pre-trained LLM. And the reason why I wanted to do this with you with Claude 3 Sonnet is to show you that Claude 3 Sonnet is really trained on all the recent information. It's trained on all the recent information so that it can already help us build and retrain and fine-tune an LLM, which is a recent technology, right? It's some recent research, and you will see that it will perfectly be able to do it, okay? So first, we're going to click here, select model in the text playground, and then we're going to choose Anthropic, of course. Then here you have all the previous versions of Claude that we actually used before, and you have the brand new one, Claude 3 Sonnet V1, context size up to 200K. Claude 3 Sonnet by Anthropic strikes the ideal balance between intelligence and speed, particularly for enterprises. Okay, you can view the details here. So let's click apply, and here we go. Here we are with Claude 3 Sonnet. And so we're going to write our prompt. It's not going to be as advanced as the prompts we saw in the examples, but still, what we will want Claude 3 Sonnet to do is pretty advanced because we will ask it to retrain, to augment the knowledge of a pre-trained LLM, Llama 2, taken from Hugging Face, and retrain it with this knowledge, this extra layer of knowledge containing the advanced medical terms. Okay, so let's do this. Hi, I have this pre-trained Llama 2 model from Hugging Face. I have this pre-trained Llama 2 model from Hugging Face, which can discuss with us about general topics. I want to fine-tune this model by adding to it an extra layer of knowledge containing advanced medical terms. I will do that thanks to a dataset from Hugging Face as well, which contains many advanced medical terms and complete explanations for each of them. Okay? I'm going to say, in other words, I want to augment the knowledge of my pre-trained LLM with this dataset containing the medical terms. Okay, then I'm going to give the path to the model and the datasets within Hugging Face. So I'm going to say here are the path to the pre-trained model and the dataset. Okay, model path. So I'm going to go back to Hugging Face and I'm going to copy exactly this. This is the path to the pre-trained Llama 2 model in Hugging Face. So I'm going to copy it, and back in Bedrock, I'm going to paste it here. Okay, And then same for the dataset path, and back into Hugging Face, but this time in the dataset, I'm gonna copy the path to, be careful, the dataset with the right format, not the original dataset, but the dataset with the Llama 2 format, which must have the format expected by Llama 2 when you retrain it, when you fine-tune it. Okay? So let's copy it. All right, and I'm gonna specify here in the parentheses with the right format. Okay? Because Claude 3 Sonnet was trained on all these informations, the recent breakthrough in generative AI. So it will understand all this. It should. Okay, so I gave the path, and now I'm going to ask, please generate a Python code which fine-tunes this pre-trained model. Please generate a Python code which fine-tunes this pre-trained model with this dataset, so that the model can discuss with us those medical terms, those medical terms contained in the above dataset. All right, I think it's pretty clear. If you want, I'll copy this and share it in the chat. All right, and checking your questions. All right, so just watching. We'll work on it later with recording too. Just watching. Okay, so you're all just watching. Cool. It's perfectly cool. Feel free to do it later with the recording. So this is what I entered. I tried to be very clear, very specific. I said, please generate a Python code. I could even precise here that I wanted to use the Hugging Face tools, but I think it's going to do it automatically because they are by far the best tools in order to fine-tune an LLM. So yes, I think it's pretty clear. And if it's not clear, I can, always redo the prompt. So are you ready for this? Are you ready? And we're going to compare the output, the generated output by Claude 3 Sonnet with the code that I made here. It's one of the codes in our AI courses where we build and train an LLM, fine-tune it. So we're going to see, for example, if it uses the auto model for causal LLM from pre-trained method and class, auto tokenizer from pre-trained in order to load the tokenizer, training arguments in order to load the training arguments, SFT trainer class in order to create a supervised fine-tuning trainer, and training the model. Okay, so let's see what it uses, and we can always check in the documentation. Let me actually open it for you in a new tab. We're going to check the different tools that it uses. Okay, but you have to realize that all these tools, the transformers libraries, the PEFT libraries for fine-tuning are recent. They're very recent, and yet you're going to see that Claude 3 Sonnet was trained on these recent information, contained in all these. So let's have a look. Are you ready? I'll just go after one yes. Yeah, okay, perfect. Priyanka, thank you. Ray, thank you. Let's do this. So I'm just going to click run here, and there we go. Let's see. Oh, you see? And perfect. Indeed, it uses all the Hugging Face tools, and it does it very well. Look at that, and it's very fast. And it also gives a breakdown of the code. Woohoo! So that's really good. I don't know why it's all highlighted, but let's have a look. Please generate a Python code which fine-tunes. Yes, sure. So that's the model answer. Sure, here is an example of Python code that fine-tunes the pre-trained Llama 2 model using the provided dataset of medical terms. Okay, so from transformers import Llama for causal LLM. Yes, that's also what I use in the code. Llama tokenizer, yes. Training arguments, yes, and trainer. So you see, it uses the exact same tools that I use in this code, which works perfectly well, by the way. It does the job to fine-tune the model by adding to it an extra layer of knowledge for knowledge augmentation so that it can talk with us about medical terms. So yes, it uses the same classes, training arguments. No, it didn't use the SFT trainer class, actually. So let's have a look at the code. First, it loads the pre-trained model and tokenizer. Model path, Abunaji Llama 2 fine-tune v2. Tokenizer, Llama tokenizer from pre-trained. I don't think I use the exact same one. I use the auto tokenizer from pre-trained, but this should work very fine as well. Llama tokenizer from pre-trained. And then the model, it loads it with the Llama for causal LLM from pre-trained class, which is almost the same as the one I use, because I use, here it is, loading the model. I use the auto model for causal from pre-trained method. This is the class, auto model for causal LLM class, and then the from pre-trained method. And it uses the Llama for causal LLM. So actually, let's check it out. Let's check it out in Hugging Face. So back in Hugging Face, I'm going to go to the documentation, and I'm going to enter this in the documentation, and there it is. So it's another class, probably very, very similar to the one I used in my code, which allows to load a model, okay? Load a model, Llama for causal LLM. It's maybe better than mine. Mine works very well, but there you go. This is the class. And if we go inside, well, you are going to have a very, very good description of this class, Llama for causal LLM by the Transformers library by Hugging Face. So you see, Hugging Face is so good. It gives you all these models, all these data sets, but besides all these tools. So this is the forward method for forward propagation, but we should also find the from pre-trained somewhere. Auto-tokenize, yeah, from pre-trained, there it is, okay? And here you enter the path to your model. Okay, so yeah, this seems to work very well. It's another tool. I'm going to show you what I used. I used this auto model for causal LLM. It's probably very similar. This is what I used. Auto model for causal LLM. Yes. Okay. Auto model for causal LLM. This is a generic model class that will be instantiated as one of the model classes of the library with a causal language modeling head with a from pre-trained class method. Okay. So yeah, there are probably some very subtle differences between the two, but I'm sure the two work very well. I did it in my code with this one. It worked very well. I'm sure it will work as well with the Llama for causal LLM, okay? Then same, it uses the Llama tokenizer here to load the tokenizer. So same, I use something very similar when loading the tokenizer, which is auto tokenizer from pre-trained, okay? But this should work very well too. So basically it does the same as it loads the model, then it loads the tokenizer with very similar Hugging Face tools from the Transformers library. And then it loads the data set, okay, with the right format. And then it pre-processes the data set. Okay, so it does it in a function. Okay, interesting. Yes, so the reason why it pre-processes the data set is in order to apply to it tokenization, so that all the sequences in the data set have the same length thanks to the padding. Basically, you're going to add end of string tokens, all right, at the end of each explanation so that all the explanations of the different medical terms have the same length. This is called tokenization with padding, right padding actually, because you're adding the end of string tokens at the right of each sequence. And yes, that's how you basically pre-process the data set in NLP in general, but that's what you also have to do here for fine-tuning the LLM, because basically now we're doing NLP, right? We're building a chatbot basically. Then defining your training argument. So here it does exactly the same as what I did in the code. Check this out. After loading the data set, after loading the model, and after loading the tokenizer, we set the training arguments in step 4. And we use for that the training arguments class, once again, by Hugging Face. I'm going to show it to you in the documentation. But that's exactly what it's doing here. It uses the training arguments class by specifying the output directory, in your code. Basically, you're going to have some output generated here, which is not the output text, but for example, the model weights, they're going to be probably output. So yes, that's the output directory. That's what we created. It will be a folder called medical llama. Then per device trained batch size, that's basically the training batch size, and it shows a number of 4. Let me see what I chose. Yes, same. Per device trained batch size, 4. That's probably the optimal value, probably taken from the research papers, from the research papers or from the codes that were shared, open source, and that lead to the best performance. So that's why we ended up choosing the same train batch size. And then I chose a max steps of 100, maximum training steps of 100. Let's see if it shows some. It shows 3 epochs. I think that's actually the default value for the number of training epochs, which is why I didn't specify it here in my training arguments class. But it doesn't specify the max steps. Okay, so I know why. Actually, I remember, here I choose maximum steps of 100 so that the training doesn't take too long. All right, so it's actually less than 3 epochs for me, which is why I did this, and which gives us a really well fine-tuned LLM in not a too long training, after not a too long training. But here, it just decided to keep the default value of the 3 epochs, but this will be a longer training because it didn't specify a maximum number of steps. However, it will probably lead to better results, to a better doctor and a better chatbot doctor. And then it even provided some more parameters, more than me. Here I just stopped at train batch size and the max steps. But here in Bedrock, it also specified number of evaluation steps, logging steps, gradient accumulation steps, and warm-up steps, and load best model at end true. Yes, okay, and to load the weights of the best model after fine-tuning it, after doing a lot of training and fine-tuning. Okay, nice. And then how does it create the trainer? Okay, so that's where I noticed the difference with what I did. I chose to use the supervised fine-tuning trainer, which is the tool that you will use to supervise fine-tuning. That you have 2 ways of creating an LLM today, of fine-tuning an LLM. First way is with supervised fine-tuning, and second way is with RLHF, reinforcement learning through human. RLHF stands for reinforcement learning from human feedback. Yes, so that's the second way of retraining an LLM by adding an extra layer of knowledge, reinforcement learning from human feedback. But it is a much longer procedure, and supervised fine-tuning is much more efficient, which is why we do it here. All right. So for this, I use the SFT trainer class, and Amazon Bedrock chose to use the simple trainer class. So let's have a look actually in the documentation, what it looks like. I'm going to go back to the documentation, and I'm going to enter trainer. All right, so same, it's the trainer class from the Transformers library. Let's have a look at it. It's probably a more simple trainer class when, fine-tuning a model, but there you go. It's one of the main tools of Hugging Face, and I'm sure it works very, very well. It's exactly the same as what I did. It's a trainer class in which you have to input the tokenizer, the train data set, the training arguments, just like what I did in my code. SFT trainer class here, same, I enter the model, the training arguments, the data set, the tokenizer, the PEFT config. So I actually did some LoRa and CLoRa, which seems to be what is missing here. It didn't do some CLoRa, but I'm sure that if we specify in the prompt that we want to do some CLoRa, it will do it very well. But there you go. It creates the trainer with a very similar class as the one I used. I'm saying very similar. I can recognize that it's very similar because it has the same arguments. You enter the model, the training arguments, the data set, the evaluation data set, so which I didn't do in my code, by the way. I didn't do some evaluation at the same time as the training, the tokenizer, and the preprocessed logits for metrics. Okay? So yeah, very similar. I could show you also the SFT trainer class that I use, right? SFT trainer class, right? But you're going to see that it's very similar. It's a class where you enter the model, the training arguments, the train data set. Mine seems a bit more advanced. Yes, I know why I use this one. It's because you can enter the PEFT config, which is parameter efficient fine-tuning. It's in order to reduce the number of parameters in the training, to only keep the efficient parameters in the training so that you reduce the training consumption. You make it less compute intensive. That's what it's used for. And you do that through PEFT technique and also through CLoRa, which is quantization applied in combination with low rank adaptive matrices, LoRa. Okay, so that's a bit advanced and that's a bit out of the scope of this lab, but there you go. That's the reason why I chose this one, SFT trainer. Okay, all right, and then trainer.train, same, that's what I do. After we create the trainer, the supervised fine-tuning trainer, of course, here with the trainer, it's also a supervised fine-tuning trainer, but it's a more simple version as it seems. But there you go. After that, I just take my trainer and then I apply .train. I call the train function, the train method from this trainer. And that's exactly what is being done here too. It takes the trainer and it calls the train method from that trainer object, all right, created from the trainer class, okay? And then it even saves the fine-tuned model so that you can load it in the future, so that you can load your doctor, AI doctor, and then it gives you a breakdown of the code. We import the necessary modules from the Hugging Face Transformers library. Then step 2, we load the pre-trained Llama 2 model and tokenize using the provided model path. Then step 3, we'll load the dataset using the provided dataset path and assume it's in format compatible with the Hugging Face dataset library, which is exactly what I entered in the prompt as an instruction. Then step 4, we define a preprocessed function that formats the input data as a prompt for the language model. All right, so that's very important. You always have to do this whenever you do NLP. Then step 5, we set up the training arguments, including the output directory, batch size, evaluation, frequency, logging frequency, grade, and accumulation number of epochs and 1 steps, which is more than what I did when setting up the training arguments in my code. Then step 6, we create a trainer instance with the model with training arguments, datasets, tokenizer, and preprocessed function for metric, which is exactly what I did, but I did it with another class, which is probably very similar, yet a bit more advanced, which is the SFT trainer class. And then we call the train method on the trainer to fine-tune the model, right? Exactly like what I did with my SFT trainer tool, my Llama SFT trainer object. I call the train method from it, just like, Claude 3 Sonnet did with the trainer object, okay? And then finally, we save the fine-tune model to the specified directory, that directory that we entered in the training arguments, all right? So this folder will be created and it will contain exactly the model's weights. So that's very useful indeed. And that's something I did not do in my code. So yeah, and in the step 7 of my code, of course, we test the model with, a medical term. Basically, the user prompt of the test is, please tell me about bursitis, which is one of the advanced medical terms. And let me show you the model answer. All right, so this is, please tell me about bursitis with the compulsory prompt, prompt format with, remember, start of string token, then start of instruction token, then end of instruction token. And then remember the system prompt with the sys token is optional, so I did not specify it here. And there you go. Then you have the model answer. Bursitis is a condition where the bursae, small fluid filled sacs that cushion and reduce friction between tendons, ligaments, and bones become inflamed or irritated. That I'm not sure. Between bursitis and tendinitis is often difficult because the symptoms are similar. And then you have all the symptoms: pain or tenderness, swelling or redness, limited mobility or stiffness, warmth or heat in the affected area, in severe cases, fever or chills. Bursitis can be caused by a variety of factors, including overuse or repetitive motion of a joint, trauma or injury in the affected area, poor posture or body mechanics, infection or infection of the bursae, crystal-induced bursitis, rheumatoid arthritis, or other inflammatory conditions, injection or need. And then here it stopped because I specified a maximum length of the model answer of 300 characters. All right, so that's why it stopped here. But if I had entered 500, it would finish here. Okay, so you see, it works very well. And I'm sure that if we enter this code, with the very similar tools of Hugging Face, the very similar classes, like the trainer class instead of the SFT trainer class, and the other tools, well, we would get a very good model answer, when testing the LLM, the fine-tuned LLM, now with knowledge added to its layers of knowledge containing the medical terms, it would work very well. All right. So let me go back to the chat. I haven't been in the chat for quite a while, so I'm sorry if I missed some questions. Chuck Woody, you have a different epoch, num-train epoch. Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, we will all have different model answers, when we test Claude 3 Sonnet with that prompt. So you got 5 epochs, that's totally fine. Because, adding to it an extra layer of knowledge containing all these medical terms is quite complex. So you would probably need actually more than 3 epochs in order to train this. Okay, Priyanka, you got num-train epochs equals 3, same as me. Okay, good. Chuck Woody, I'm just going to watch at this point to learn. Thanks. Okay, sounds good, sounds good. And what did you share? Yes, okay. Ah, yes. So you got some very similar output as mine. Okay, interesting. Oh, you got something different. You got data collator for language modeling. Interesting. I haven't used that in my code. Interesting. Okay, cool. So yes, that brings us to the end of this class. Basically, I wanted to show you that you can even use Bedrock with the very recent information, even on the very advanced research that was done recently on generative AI. So that's absolutely amazing. Basically, me, when I did this code, it took me a lot of time, to go through the Hugging Face documentation. It took me actually several days to make such a code. And well, with Bedrock, we did it in just one prompt. So you see how actually coding is kind of disappearing. I'm reading more and more articles on that saying that coding will be outdated skill because now only generative AI will be coding. So yeah, that's another example of how you can even use an LLM like Claude 3 Sonnet, the brand new release by Anthropic, to generate some code, even using very recent and advanced and state-of-the-art tools from the Transformers library from the Hugging Face platform.